Last weekend was perhaps the worst in the history of cinema for the box office. Memorial Day weekend was one that instilled fear in theater owners, but how will the next weekend fare? Folks, we're here to tell you it might not be very fair once again for those in the movie business. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to the channel that is changing hearts and minds simply by telling the truth. Today, we are examining the box office and the truth that we have been telling for so long. Hey, Hollywood, get away from the divisive content. You're killing your industry. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button and let's dive into the news of the day. Today, we're going to Deadline with Nancy Tartaglione, and she has this as the title: Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes tops 300 million worldwide. If, which is the John Krasinski film, and Garfield crack 100 million. Furiosa at 75 through Tuesday. This is the international box office. It's not all doom and gloom, she says, at the global box office, as a handful of films reached milestones this week. 20th Century Studios' Disney's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes topped 300 million worldwide. Folks, that's still a disaster. It's still going to be a flop for Disney. They need far more than that, close to 500 million to break even, while Paramount's If and Sony's Garfield movie crossed the 100 million mark. Now, both of those folks might break even. Garfield likely to break even simply because the budget's so small. If it depends on their streaming deal, it depends on whatever they have in place to make sure that they make money on the backside of this box office. But movie owners, they're not making money off If, and that's a real shame. Through Tuesday, Apes, that's the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, is at 178.1 million international, 306.8 million global. Again, more than 100 million short of breaking even. Another Disney flop. This past weekend was its third frame, and that means it's basically done. The Wes Ball-directed Pick crossed the $300 million milestone with Monday's numbers. Goes on to talk about what are the top 5 markets. And folks, if you're someone you are in the entertainment industry, you hate seeing China at the top at 25.8 million. Why do you hate seeing it at the top right there? Well, one, you hate seeing that because France is at 18 million and China has a few more people than France. So that skews the proportions. It means that the Chinese market likely has not rebounded. But also at 25 million, you're not making money out of China because China only sends back something like anywhere between 15 and 22% of the box office back to Hollywood studios, depending on the deal they have. And that's because China, lest you forget, is a communist nation where taxes are extreme. Now, all of this, folks, is meant to give you a sense that things are not utterly disastrous all across the world with the box office. Unfortunately, I do not see things quite as rosily as Nancy Tartaglione. That's not to say, though, that she's wrong. Not at all, and we love her work. It's just that I'm looking at budgets. She's not. From her perspective, the worldwide box office looks, well, not disastrous, somewhere north of that. From the way I'm seeing this, budgetary issues remain and could be something that drive people insane in Hollywood. Now, what we need to do, though, is we need to go back and take a look at Memorial Day weekend proper. What was going on? Why was it the worst? And we've got a panel to tell you what's going on, and that might give us some indication of just how this forthcoming weekend, which we are in, might go. And this is where we have arrived. Folks, let's take a look now at how the assessment is going. And we'll move everybody to the side over here so we can see a little bit better. But let's take a look at how the assessment is going out of the mainstream media proper. This out of The Wrap. And we'll see what this has to say. It's by Jeremy Fuster. 4 reasons why the Memorial Day box office was so awful and what it means for a struggling theatrical business. Now, before we read that article, I just want to say that over on the Patreon, I have put up an article listing out some of the worst Memorial Day weekend box office tallies, and the only one that comes even close. And we've got stuff in here about Temple of Doom, The 13th Floor, Mission Impossible 2, Bruce Almighty. Folks, if you want to go read it, if you're a member of the Patreon, hop on over. We've looked into this. 1999 is the only one that has any chance of sitting on top of the throne other than this past weekend. And when you consider the potential lost, this weekend reigns supreme.
Wait, you're saying that Memorial Day of 1999 was that abysmal?
It was terrible, yes.
Despite the fact that Phantom Menace had just come into theaters? Wow.
Well, for that box office weekend, for the movies that came out, yes. And but Jonas, you're exactly right. That's why this weekend is so much worse. Now, take a look at this. Heading into Memorial Day weekend, it was already expected that the box office would see the lowest totals from this holiday since the turn of the century. The final results have fallen even below that. The number one film for this weekend, Furiosa, made just $32 million over the 4-day period, making it the lowest number one Memorial Day release since 1995, when the family film Casper opened to $22 million before inflation and adjustment. Now, that's bad. Casper was known as something that was a flop back then, but let me tell you, if you adjust the inflation on Casper, Casper easily is sitting above both of these movies, and it actually starts to approach both movies combined. That's really something. Box office analysis company Nash Information Systems, operator of the numbers, had projected a $160 million 4-day total. But the final is at 128, down 37% from last year and the lowest in 26 years. Now, Culture and I talked this morning in the video about how that's kind of a misnomer, because when you adjust for inflation, this is the worst. So let's see what the assessment is here. It says, since the start of 2024, exhibitors and studio executives alike knew that the first half of the year would be rough. Talks about all of these films that have been moved. Talks about how Sonic the Hedgehog will be in the second half of the year. It suggests that there's no Marvel, and so because of no Marvel, that's why we're here. But folks, I'm here to tell you, no Marvel after the Marvels. I'm not so sure that a Marvel movie would have saved this weekend.
There was no
do we
one
really
in the
think
theater.
Thunderbolts?
No.
Do we think Thunderbolts would have saved this weekend?
There was no one in the theater when I went to go see the Marvels. I was the only one there. The only time I've ever used full flash when taking a picture in a theater.
and even the attendant was like, "Don't care. I don't care."
I think the attendant probably took a nap.
Furiosa and Garfield. This is being claimed that they're not 4-quadrant tent poles. I mean, Garfield is a family film. I can't imagine an animated family film doing poorly on Memorial Day weekend when it has no competition. Panel. I mean, does a family animated CGI Memorial Day movie have to be 4-quadrant now?
No, I mean, I went to see both movies. I saw Furiosa and I saw Garfield. Furiosa had a couple people in the movie theater. The Garfield movie had quite an amount of people in the theater, and not just adults, families that were there in the theater. And with all the laughs and everything that are going on, obviously everyone enjoyed it. So I think that's one, because it's a family film that, yes, is safe for your kids to see, it's going to make more money. It doesn't need I agree. It doesn't need a 4-quadrant appeal.
Right. And Garfield's going to make money because Garfield was made for $60 million.
Mm-hmm.
So Garfield's going to make money. And Garfield has a wonderful global opportunity. So Garfield will make money. Furiosa will not. But theaters, they're still going to suffer because they can't survive on this level of lasagna. They've got to have way more.
Yeah.
Kara, let me show you real quick, Kara, what the last point is that's being made here. Audiences are more selective. So apparently, post-pandemic, audiences, they're really, really selective. That decade after decade after decade of consumer pattern, that's all shifted now. And suddenly audiences, they really, really look and see what it is they want to go see, and they find out none of it. Because that's sort of the euphemism here, right? Audiences are more selective really means, according to this article, although they would not say it, that audiences don't go. So that's where we're at, is that audiences don't go to movie theaters anymore. Kara, is there anything that Hollywood can do to reverse that? Is there any way to draw back audiences before we reach the level where theaters are just gone?
I think we should go back to the point to where trailers aren't showing the entire plot line in a preview.
Mm-hmm.
I watched so as I mentioned earlier, I watched Armageddon for the first time last night, but my husband and I have been going through certain movies from the past, and he's been kind of showing me different trailers and stuff. And
what's been your favorite that you've seen in the past few
Ooh.
months of these old movies you've gone and seen?
Honestly, I think Sixth Sense was one of my favorites.
I knew you were going to like that when I read that you were watching it.
I do think that one was one of my favorite ones. And of course, I was one of the few somehow that didn't have the ending spoiled for me, but I caught on about halfway through what it like. I was like, ooh, light bulb moment.
By the way, Kara, I think the John Krasinski movie Imaginary Friends is an attempt, a flawed attempt, to be the Sixth Sense for kids.
Okay,
So,
whoa. Are you spoiling If for us now?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, did you just spoil that for me?
Bro?
I'm saying that it needs more Bruce Willis.
Oh, okay.
Everything does.
Bruce Willis thing. I mean, we need more Bruce Willis, but we all know how that's going right now. It makes me sad. But I think there was one trailer that we watched. I can't remember what it was, but it seriously didn't even show anything from the movie. It had like some bits of dialogue in it, and it was something with a puppeteer. I can't remember what movie it was that.
Benedict Cumberbatch, Eric.
No,
it's coming out soon.
No, I'm saying an older movie. I think it was. I'm trying to remember what it was, but
Pinocchio?
there was a movie that we added to the list that all it showed was just like these marionettes, and it had some bits of dialogue in it, and that was enough to get me intrigued. Like, I don't need to know what the beginning, middle, and end of a movie is going to look like in a trailer. Trailer should be less than 30 seconds long. That's what I personally think. I don't want to know the entire
Inception horns.
I want to be surprised, or I want to be intrigued enough by a trailer to be like, okay, that looks interesting. I'll spend my money to go watch that. Because if I watch a trailer right now and I see all of the plot points within a freaking 2-minute long trailer, I don't feel the need to go to a movie. So I think if we kind of move back to 30 seconds or less for a trailer, that will kind of get that intrigue back up to kind of incentivize people. And of course, there's also the so quick to go to VODs right now as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which takes away. I mean, they did that with Fall Guy, I think.
Yep.
Was
Yeah,
no. Yeah, Fall Guy. They
on-
did that with the new Guy Ritchie movie. They've done that with quite a few different movies recently, so it kind of takes away that.
Right. With Fall Guy, I
hurry.
realized that Fall Guy was on video on demand right after my wife said, "Hey, do you want to go to the theaters and watch Fall Guy?" If she had known it was on video
Fall
on
Guy.
demand, I think I would have killed the date right there. So I'm like, no, yeah, let's go see it. It was great. It was great. It was not an A+. There were moments in that movie where they had the choice of moving the movie forward or doing another amazing stunt, and they almost always chose, well, let's just do another amazing stunt. And it's kind of a spiritual successor to La La Land. I like to imagine it's like this side tale of Sebastian, and they recast Emma, whichever Emma that is, Stone. Anyways, I loved Fall Guy. I thought it was a lot of fun.
So let me ask this question to the panel then. So Fall Guy, everybody I've talked to says it's great. They love it. Yet it did not do great at the box office. So I guess my question is, and audience, you tell us too in the comments out there, I kind of think that woke broke the consumer pattern. I think that woke broke families going to see films, and they're not willing to go check them out in the theaters. They're willing to check them out once they have seen the reviews, once they have checked to see what's in it, and once they can stream it at home. But they're not willing to put their time into these theaters. I don't even think that they like the people who make the movies anymore. And that's a real danger, I think, to the industry at large. Not trying to be mean, not trying to be vindictive, just saying, this is actually, I think, a phenomenon now. So, Culture, let me go to you. What do you think about this idea that woke broke the consumer pattern, and it might take years and years to bring back audiences, even if they do everything right starting today?
Well, I think it's even more than that. But yes, I think woke definitely broke the consumer pattern. I mean, you can look at what the last $100 million opener was. It was Barbie in July last year, right? It's been almost a full year since we've had a film that broke $100 million. This is that basically tells you all you need to know. And the last time I think Disney did it was with Little Mermaid, right? Which was
When's
last
the
Memorial.
time Disney broke $1 billion overall?
Oh my! Wow,
Have they done it since Endgame? Does anybody know the answer to that?
Well, Mom was just under
Spider-Man
$1 billion.
-ish.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
No, that's not Disney.
Disney.
That's
It's
Sony.
not.
Yeah. So I think Endgame, because like I said, I think oh, wait a minute. Did the Black Panther sequel make $1 billion?
I think it made 900.
See, and so did
We'll have to
Mom.
check.
Mom was under
Multiverse
$1
is close
billion.
as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's look this.
Yeah.
I got some research to do in the background here.
All right, fair enough. But I
Please.
will say this, that when you look at those numbers and you go, okay, Disney's last swing at this was last Memorial Day with The Little Mermaid, which ultimately didn't make any money at all. And the last was Warner Brothers with Barbie. That tells you an awful lot. So the consumers aren't going to the theaters the way that they used to. There's not, there's no FOMO. That's the magic, ingredient in this conversation. But nobody's fear of missing out on anything. And
And that's because they don't wait long enough between when the movie leaves the theater versus the streaming. That's what gave it the extra kick when we were looking at Top Gun Maverick.
It's that scarcity, right? The whether it be artificial or not. I mean, Disney should be a master at that, considering what they're doing with Genie and everything else with their ride lines and all that. They should understand that they need to create artificial scarcity and leave things for people to discover, either in theaters or later on, months down the road on maybe, a channel like a pay channel or digital before it actually makes its way into their hands or to streaming. But we just saw that rule get broken with The Fall Guy, because as Jonas pointed out, 2 weeks later, and that's not a Disney film, but 2 weeks after it released, it was already on streaming. They've created such a terrible cannibalization of their various different monetization schemes that really they don't have one that actually is profitable. Not one of them is profitable. That's not good.
So I have an answer to this question, by the way. Wish.
If you try to say that Wish made $1 billion, we're going to throw you off here.
Wish made 240. I'm trying to go back and look at what the highest grossing film.
It's not April Fool's Day, folks. Not here.
Sorry. Wish is the highest grossing film for Disney so far this year.
I believe that.
Okay. So meaning the carryover from Wish.
Is that counting Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
No, this is just Disney.
Okay, just Disney proper.
And then Guardians of the Galaxy made 845. The year before, Black Panther capped out at 853. Shang-Chi 432 in 2021. Okay. The last film that I'm seeing here that made $1 billion that belonged to Disney was The Rise of Skywalker, which was famously the film that killed Star Wars at theater.
Wait a minute, Jonas. I need you to read those again one more time, because I want folks out there to listen very closely to the Disney movies that have made $500 million since the pandemic. Go through those one more time, Jonas.
Last year, Guardians of the Galaxy with $843 million. The year before, Black Panther Wakanda Forever with $853 million. That's 2022. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings at 432. By the way, these are global.
Right, so you can stop there.
Figures, not...
Now we know Little Mermaid made what, 700? Little Mermaid made somewhere around there. Okay, so Disney used to be a $1 billion blockbuster maker, and now they're a machine that can't make 500 million. I mean, it is a very rare thing to see. So
yeah, 568 million for Little Mermaid.
Barely hit the $500 million mark. That is astounding from a company that in 2019 was producing $1 billion blockbusters with regularity. It's amazing. And folks, that's why we do what we do here. We're not here to be mean to Disney. We're not here to call them out in an inappropriate way. We're not here to just slam Hollywood and entertainment. We're here to save entertainment and Hollywood. We are the ones trying to save Disney as the shills go whistling by the graveyard over and over again so they can get their one extra day of exclusivity riding a ride that everybody will ride the next day. We're here saying, you know what? We'll pass. We'd rather try to save you instead. And folks, we've come to the end yet again, but do not despair. Not yet. Do not fret, for more content is on the way 3 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. Folks, We hope you had a great time. If you did, like, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.